David's heart ached to see his mother like this. He felt helpless, like he wasn't doing enough to make her better. Once upon a time, in a small peaceful town, there lived a young man named David. David was a simple, kind-hearted person who cared for everyone around him. But above all, he loved his mother, Mrs. Rose. Mrs. Rose was all he had since his father passed away many years ago. She had raised David with so much love, working hard every day to provide for him, even when times were tough. David's dream was to make his mother proud and give her a better life. He worked every day doing different jobs around town to save money. He wanted to build a new house for his mother, one where she could live happily and comfortably. Mrs. Rose was his whole world, and he wanted nothing more than to make her smile. But one day, David's life changed suddenly. Mrs. Rose began to feel very weak and sick. She tried to hide it from David at first, but as days went by, she grew weaker and weaker. David became very worried. He didn't want to lose the most important person in his life. David took his mother to the local doctor, who ran some tests. When the doctor came back with the results, he had a serious look on his face. "David," he said softly, "your mother is very sick. She will need a special medicine and care, and it will cost a lot of money." David's heart felt heavy, but he didn't show his worry. He held his mother's hand and promised her, "I will take care of you, Mom. I will do whatever it takes to make you feel better." Mrs. Rose smiled weakly at him, her heart filled with love and pride for her son. David quickly realized that his savings would not be enough to pay for all his mother's treatment, so he made a brave decision. He sold almost everything he had, his small furniture, his bicycle, and even the little land his father had left for him. He gave up everything just to buy the medicine and pay for the hospital bills. Despite all his effort, Mrs. Rose's condition did not improve. Every time David came to visit her at the hospital, she looked weaker than before. Yet, she always tried to smile at him, saying, "David, you are my blessing, and I am proud of you." David's heart ached to see his mother like this. He felt helpless, like he wasn't doing enough to make her better. One day, an idea came to him. He remembered a distant relative, Uncle George, who lived in the city and was very wealthy. Uncle George hadn't spoken to their family in years, but David thought maybe he could help. So he gathered what little money he had left and went to see Uncle George in the big city. When David arrived at Uncle George's grand house, he felt nervous. He knocked on the door and a servant let him in. Uncle George looked surprised to see David, but he quickly hid his surprise with a cold smile. "David," he said, "what brings you here?" David swallowed his pride and explained everything about his mother's illness and how much he was struggling to pay for his treatment. He asked Uncle George, "Please, can you help us? I promise I will pay back one day." Uncle George listened quietly, his face showing no sign of emotion. When David finished, his uncle sighed and said, "David, you have chosen your path, and I have chosen mine. I cannot help you. I'm a busy man and I have my own family to take care of." David's heart sank. He had come all the way hoping for help, only to be turned away. He tried to hold back his tears as he thanked Uncle George and left the house. He felt alone and defeated. He thought about his mother lying in the hospital and felt like he had failed her. When he returned to his town, David felt hopeless, but just when he thought he was all done, he met a young nurse named Emily at the hospital. Emily had heard about David and his mother and was deeply moved by the kindness and sacrifice. One day, she approached him and said, "David, I want to help your mother. I'll do whatever I can to care for her, even if you cannot pay me right now." David looked at Emily, surprised and grateful. He could hardly believe that a stranger would be so kind. "Thank you, Emily," he said, his eyes filled with tears. "I don't know how I can ever repay you." From that day on, Emily took special care of Mrs. Rose. She treated her with love and patience, just as if she was her mother. Mrs. Rose grew very fond of Emily and often called her the daughter I never had. David watched Emily's kindness and felt his heart warmed. He had found a true friend in her, and in those dark days, she brought light into his life. But time continued to pass, and Mrs. Rose grew weaker. One evening, as David sat beside her, she reached out and held his hand tightly. "David," she whispered, her voice soft and tried. "I have something to tell you. It's a secret I've kept for a long time, but now you need to know." David listened closely, his heart pounding. Mrs. Rose took a deep breath and began to tell him about his father's past. She explained how his father had faced many hardships and had to make difficult choices to protect his family. David was shocked, but he felt a deep respect for his father's strength and love. "Your father was a brave man," she said, "and now you have become a brave man too. I am so proud of you, my son. You have a heart as strong as his." With these words, she closed her eyes and drifted off to sleep, a peaceful smile on her face. That night, Mrs. Rose passed away peacefully. David was heartbroken. He had lost the important person in his life. He felt like a part of him had gone through her. He cried and cried, feeling like his heart would never heal. Emily stayed by his side, comforting him through his grief. He held his hand, letting him know that he was not alone. Slowly, David began to find peace. He knew that his mother would want him to keep living, to find happiness, and to carry on her love in his heart. Over time, David and Emily grew even closer. They shared memories of Mrs. Rose, laughing at her funny stories and crying over her sweet kindness. Through their shared story, a new bond was born. They found comfort in each other, and their friendship blossomed into love. Years passed, and David honored his mother's memory by helping others in need, just as she had taught him. He and Emily built a new home together, one filled with love and laughter, just as he has dreamt of doing for his mother. In his heart, he knew that his mother was watching over him, proud of the man he had become. David learned and love never truly dies. It stays in the heart, guiding us, comforting us, and helping us become better people. And whenever he thought of his mother, he felt her love surrounding him, as warm and gentle as a mother's embrace. This story, The Heart Never Forgets, captures David's journey through love, loss, and healing. It shows that even in the darkest times, kindness and love can light the way and help us carry on. Some beautiful moral lessons you will learn from this story: selfless love and sacrifice. David's willingness to give up everything for his mother shows the power of selfless love. True love often requires sacrifice, and this story reminds us to care deeply for those we hold dear. Kindness can come from unexpected places. Emily's kindness in helping David and his mother, even when he had nothing to offer in return, shows that kindness doesn't always come from family or familiar places. Sometimes, strangers can become like family through genuine compassion. Strength in difficult times. David faced many hardships, but remained strong and keep going. This teaches us that even when life is tough, inner strength and resilience help us carry on, especially when we are doing it for someone we love the most. Cherish loved ones while they are here. David's love and devotion to his mother reminds us to cherish and care for our loved ones while they are with us. Life is unpredictable, so showing love and appreciation every day is essential. Grief and healing are parts of life. Losing someone we love is painful, but the story shows that over time, love and support from others can help us heal. It's okay to grieve, but we should allow ourselves to find happiness and purpose again. Forgiveness brings peace. Even though David's uncle, George, refused to help him, David didn't hold on to anger. Forgiveness allowed him to focus on what truly matters, his love for his mother, and brought him peace in the heart. Love and memories last forever. True love doesn't end when someone passes away. The love David felt for his mother stayed with him, guiding him through life and helping him become a better person. Our loved ones may leave us, but their love and memory stays in our hearts. Helping others, honor those we've lost. By helping others in need, David honored his mother's memory and value. This shows that one way to keep a loved one's spirit alive is by carrying forward their kindness and generosity. This story teaches the importance of love, kindness, resilience, and the healing power of forgiveness and memories. I hope you enjoyed this story, and kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel, my beautiful besties. And I want to thank my 120 amazing YouTube subscribers. I love you all. And to my youth subscribers, kindly like, comment, and share this beautiful story so that the algorithm can go viral and YouTube can recommend this story. Thank you. I love you all.